Welcome, Canada, and of course, lawyers hired by whatever Muslim Brotherhood front group, suing me now, in the future, in the past, in the present. You, the real MVP, bumping up the watch time on these videos. We appreciate you. So, today, it is the election live stream, also the Taliban live stream. So, we will talk a lot. Well, what do you mean we? I will. I'm going to talk a lot about the Canadian election. We'll have a bit of a coverage of the Wednesday night Nova Scotia. Why did I forget Nova Scotia? That's a real province. Unlike Prince Edward Island, I picked the province with the smallest population to least likely alienate myself. Anyways, thanks everyone for being here. I want to keep this nice and interactive because you'll get a lot of election jibberty jabber over the next few days, but I figure I'll be the only one who, if you say something like reasonable, I'll respond to it. If you start to, to say something about aliens and whatever, like I'm going to ignore those. But all reasonable election-based questions, comments, I want to sort of integrate what the mindset of the standard Canadian is to all this. So thank you for being here. Thanks for coming every Wednesday. Remember, you can support the show, but just, click like and share and subscribe. Click all the buttons. The buttons really help me out, especially when it's live. It really helps the engagement whenever, and it keeps the social tech media giants from censoring this too much. So without further ado, we have Canadian election 44, which is being officially termed race to the bottom. So if you ever want to hashtag the Canadian election, my hashtag, even though I haven't tweeted this out yet, I probably should. So if I'm telling you to do it, but it's hashtag race to the bottom. All right. Right now we have Cheryl. How did you outscoop me on this? This story is supposed to drop tomorrow that he's running in Alberta. Why is Cheryl the best commentator of all time? Okay, Cheryl, I think you've earned already 3 extra grains of rice in your gulag. So there's no more rice. So pick your own gulag. You got to pick your own gulag prize. Remember, it has to be gulag accessible. But yeah, that was supposed to be a TNT exclusive tomorrow. That Derek Sloan's running in rural Alberta, not Hastings. Anyways, Cheryl, most plugged in. Maybe she should have a show, guys. Unsubscribe from this, dislike this video, and go follow Cheryl's new YouTube channel. All right, now we see a real smart comment, which is O'Toole is an idiot. Fact check true. Denny says hey. I say hey back. No, I say hello in a weird British accent. All right. As is Trudeau. Yep, so true. No, you're not talking about Joe Biden saying he showed me screwed up in Afghanistan pretty bad. Thousands of American football under control with the Taliban. What? Yes, race to the bottom. Sloan is good. Okay. Okay. Oh, Keenan Braxty tweeted today. Oh, Keenan Braxty scooped us. Oh, Wyatt. Okay, well, he hasn't feel. Okay, well, Wyatt, go check out what Keenan Braxty. Did he scoop you? Did he scoop you, buddy? Maybe. People aren't surprised about Sloan. Okay, so that was like a voice text, but I screwed up your voice text. That's, Okay. So this is election 44, hashtag race to the bottom. Now, who is the biggest idiot in the country? There is no doubt it's Justin Trudeau, okay? But Justin Trudeau also has the benefit of bribing the entire media and having being on the red team in Canada, all right? The Liberal Party is just the most popular party. There's a lot of people who turn their brains off and just vote Liberal because they're Liberal and they're the Liberals, and that's what the Liberals do. I wish it wasn't the way. I wish everyone, would just vote for, whoever wasn't Trudeau. But you understand that that's a strong political sentiment in Canada. Just the Liberals. It's waning. Thankfully, it's waning, but we know it's real. So Justin Trudeau started off this election with a face plant at 1,000 miles an hour, losing 5 points immediately by just declaring an election. And this is something Wyatt and I like to talk about a lot on the TNT Live, but the polling companies do not have an actual pulse on what the country is doing right now. There's a massive flaw. You've heard this thing before. The person they create, the aggregate person, isn't a real human. I go into this on tomorrow's episode on the Mark Petrone show. If you listen to a lot of Mississauga talk radio. But you have a problem where the polling companies are so biased in the way they construct things. And I think what you've seen now is a little bit of a reckoning on COVID. Because last election, so let's backtrack to last election and my thoughts on the polling. And if you've been here for over 2 years, thank you for being here. And I said, the last election, we'll see what is the polling bias in Canada, because the Trump polling bias was pretty huge. And what we learned in the polling bias in Canada was actually inverse to what we saw in the States. Whereas people might have been more supportive of the NDP and the PPC and the Green Party, but when Canadians got in the voting booth in 2019, a lot of them voted pragmatically. They realized, hey, it's two choices, it's red or blue, Liberals or Conservative. So a lot of people who would have liked to vote PPC just said, okay, screw it, I'll vote Conservative. This is actually my vote last election, it won't be this election. And a lot of people were like, maybe the NDP is better. They voted Liberal to keep the Conservatives out. So the standard Canadian polling data, if you want to say there is such a thing, it actually undersells the Conservatives and the Liberals. It doesn't take into account that Canadians get pretty pragmatic when they get into the voting booth. Now I think things will change, because there is a new wave out there, a new variant, let's call it, where people want freedom. Okay, there's a good amount of people now who will say, F it, I don't like Aaron O'Toole, he's pro-lockdown, Justin Trudeau, he's pro-lockdown, Jagmeet Singh, he's pro-lockdown, I want freedom. And I think someone brought it up, Cheryl again, winning a lot. We have Hope Elizabeth Smith McCrossan, Nova Scotia was ousted by PC caucus, ran an independent, won, Yukon next. Thank you for saying this, beating me to the punch. Again, we'll give you an extra grain of rice in your rations at this. So people are talking about need independence. Yeah, like, okay, this is a great point. Okay, why are people so funny? Guys, you're killing in the chats today. Here we have, this would have never happened. Okay, the Elizabeth Smith McCrossan would have never happened 10 years ago in Canadian politics. Wouldn't have happened 2 years ago. Okay, this was just what she did was impossible by 2019 standards. However, by 2021 standards, we have a brand new political game where there is a hunger out there, and there's a lot of people out there who just want to know that they won't be forced into taking, anything. They won't be forced into getting vaccine passports. And there's a lot of people who say, I don't trust the vaccine. I'm not getting a vaccine passport. I don't want the lockdowns. I want freedom. There's a good amount of people like that. Some of you might come in the chat and say, hey, it's me, whatever. Okay, fine. There's also I think there's an even larger group of people who are sort of my cohort, which is like, I've got the vaccine. I'm not getting any more. I'm not doing this booster game, right? I got the vaccine, but I'm opposed to mandatory vaccines. I'm opposed to mandatory vaccine passports. I'm opposed to all these draconian laws. I fear the government overreaching the government power. And I think these two groups are pretty highly motivated this election. Like, I'm now the reason I do think I actually in this election, even if Aaron O'Toole wasn't suing me and my family, which him and his people are, so let's take that out of the equation now. But I do think that even in this election, if I was given the choice between Aaron O'Toole and Justin Trudeau, last election I was saying, listen, I'm not a huge Andrew Scheer fan, but there's a huge difference between Andrew Scheer and Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is such an existential threat to the country. Even though the PPC is better, vote Andrew Scheer. I'm now at the point where I'd say I've seen Aaron O'Toole's approach to liberty. I've seen his approach to lockdowns, government overreach, and it's not any better than Justin Trudeau's. So if Justin Trudeau is a existential threat to the country and Aaron O'Toole fails to distinguish himself in any meaningful way from that threat, then the only viable vote is, let's say, PPC. Now, what about Maverick? Sure, go. By PPC, I mean, it's an independent. It's someone who actually fits your values. Okay, so I'll use PPC as sort of a catch-all to the other ones unless specified talking today. So I think I'm now on the point where I'm pretty sure it's like, even if Aaron O'Toole was not suing my family for reporting on his campaign, I'm pretty sure I'd be voting PPC now anyway. And I'm pretty, pragmatic. So if I was in the Yukon, I'd vote for Jonas Smith. I was about to call him a McCrossan, but they both are Smith. So we're going to have a very, very interesting election, because you're going to have this independent, and I think the Yukon's kind of the best place, right? Or the Yukon, Northwest Territories, or Iqaluit, Nunavut, would all be interesting places because he's going to get coverage as an independent because he's the only one. So this is now, there's a huge voting bloc out there of people like us, so I've just kind of gone over, who are tired of it. You see Viva Fry, the YouTuber, sort of pushed into politics saying, okay, screw it, I'm in. Like, I've been enraged at Doug Ford in Ontario since Bill 195. Like, we're all voting for, all the Ontarians here, we're all voting New Blue for Jim Kalahara's party in the next Ontario election. Like, that's what we're doing. Like, you're coming with me, and we're voting New Blue in Ontario. We're voting PPC or independent cross country. Like, we're doing it. There's no more, there's Aaron O'Toole is better than Justin Trudeau. They're both existential threats to the country, and we need to stop them. We need a strong PPC candidate right in Saskatchewan. Hinted. I'm not in Saskatchewan, but I would. Okay, here's a good question. Daniel, do you think that Derek Sloan didn't want to join the PPC? Both want to be the leader, egos. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. Like, the PPC, I think they're growing. I think Viva Frei did it is a great thing for the PPC, him joining them. And I actually think Viva Frei is a better get for them than Derek Sloan in a weird way. So yes, it's a lot of that. And I've said this for a while. Like, the PPC is sort of built as the Maxime Bernier show, which fine. And like, Maxime Bernier is the only politician going cross country talking about freedom. So, in the sense, I get what they're doing, and it's not it's not completely stupid, but they don't have the hardcore infrastructure to run a party long term. And Derek Sloan tried to do that. However, Elections Canada didn't register him. So yeah, there's a lot of because there's no mechanism to become the leader, he would just be like another star candidate. I think that's going to deter politicians and defecting politicians from joining the PPC. But honestly, if we're gonna give the PPC some strategy here, is politicians don't really matter. Like, who needs political renegade? That's what I'm saying. Sorry. People like Viva Frei are much more important than politicians because they have audiences outside of it. They're not standard politicians. It's not like they have 20 years of sleazebaggery on the scales, right? They can just kind of come with their new audience and say, like, listen, I'm a Canadian stepping up. And I think that appeal, that sort of anti-establishment, getting politicians who've been kicked out of the establishment to join is good. And it's kind of like, here's what I'll say. It's exactly kind of like what I do, except I don't interview a lot of people or bring them on TNT because I'm a bad interviewer. But there will be a show coming in the future, a mechanism. I'm starting another thing where I will be bringing more people on. And I'll just be honest, on sort of as a content creator in this political space, bringing on politicians is a great resume builder. All right. And there are certain politicians that are worth talking to, certain politicians that are not worth talking to, right? It's always worth it to talk to a leader of a party because, they're the leader, they can set precedent. But in terms of politicians, when you want to bring a politician on your show, the big draw is not so much the politician. Usually they don't usually have huge draws and people are like, oh my God, he's talking to Derek Sloan, or oh my God, he's talking to Maxime Bernier, or oh my God, he's talking to Aaron O'Toole, or, of course, Pierre Poilievre has more pull than Garnet Genouy or whatever. But to an extent, the reason why you talk to a politician as a media commentator is it gives you clout, okay? It's like a resume builder, all right? It's the fact that I spoke to Pierre Poilievre and had him on my show that makes it easier to get the next guest. It's like in the entertainment industry, this is like a credit you have. So if you bring on Derek Sloan to your party as the PPC, this is like a credit. Now, does it matter to people? No. So who would I rather have on my YouTube show, right? It'd be another good YouTuber. So Viva Frei is an excellent example of this. Who would I rather have on this show as a YouTuber? Viva Frei or Maxime Bernier? And the answer is Viva Frei, right? Or, let's give it Derek Sloan because this is the perfect analogy of Maxime Bernier. And the answer is Viva Frei. And I talked to both of them. But Viva Frei, as a content creator, being another content creator, having his stuff out there, that gets more people. People are more interested in talking to Viva Frei. People want to sort of listen to him speak more than they would a standard politician. And by people like him going to join the PPC, yeah, the PPC doesn't get its clout. So if Derek Sloan joins the PPC, and like if like Roman Baber and Randy Hillier join the PPC, this matters more to Rosemary Barton and Andrew Coyne, because then they can go, oh, look, it's a place, and they can do their little intellectual, blah, 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 it means nothing, and they can, self-masturbate and talk about nothing for forever. Whereas when you get someone like Viva Frey on, that actually, he goes out there, he's campaigning, he has his YouTube channel, he's reaching more people, he reaches a different demographic, more human beings who vote, pay attention and come in. So I think that's where the PPC is right now. All right, so there we go. If Trudeau wins again, what happens to the West? Probably a bit of a bye-bye. I see. I mean, Western separatism is pretty, strong. The problem is you don't have the leader to execute it. So, like when I listen to people say like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what you guys do in Canada because Alberta's going to get out," like, who's going to pull you out? Jason Kenney? Like, is Jason Kenney going to pull you out? Jason Kenney's not going to pull you out. He's part of he's part of the boys club. Like, all the Patrick Brown people who went onto O'Toole's team and are suing me, they're all buddies with Jason Kenney. So no, like Jason Kenney's not pulling you out of Canada. Now, can you get a new guy in? Like the NDP aren't going to pull you out. My thing is like, who is the leader in Alberta that's going to pull the trigger on this right now? And I'm not saying Wexit isn't a legitimate feeling. You guys know I empathize with you there, but I'm just saying, who's the leader is going to pull the trigger on this? That's the other thing. And I think a lot of people, we have people who, yes, Wild Rose is if Wild Rose can get back in. The problem is you're splitting the vote again. You got to deal with the NDP. And good luck to Alberta. Like Alberta, you guys know I have your back, and I support. I said I'd vote Wexit in Ontario if I could. But you have a problem of the current guy's not going to do this. All right. Yeah, I think people are getting it. I think so. Just remember to like the video, share the video, really helps out. Push all the buttons. It helps me do the thing. There's 65 of you here right now, and there's only 21 likes. Let's make it more to help out my ego. Okay. Here's where we are in the election. Okay, we have the Idiot Brigade run by Trudeau, and Trudeau is so deeply and violently out of touch with reality that it's near comical. So Justin Trudeau is running on, I am the deep state, we're going to lock down, and COVID fear porn. And there's this interesting thing where Justin Trudeau seems to believe his own opinion of himself, which got us into this very weird scenario where he's getting booed. His first election stop in Cobourg violated the COVID-19 rules. Oh no, they violated. I don't care. No one cares, right? But he was getting booed, and you could see that this visibly surprised and shook him. And you see by the way he's putting out his election materials is he is of the opinion that everyone has the same opinion he pays the media to say. Right? So we know he gave them $600 million, just topped it up with another $60 million. And what the media has been doing is pushing out COVID fear porn. Okay? It's be afraid of COVID. Everyone be so afraid of COVID right now. It's going to die. Look, the Conservative Party doesn't want to put like mandatory COVID, mandatory vaccines for people on trains. And then the Conservative Party is like, yeah, no mandatory vaccines for people on trains, but maybe mandatory rapid testing before you get on a train. Like, again, so no one can commit to anything. It's hilarious. Aaron O'Toole, I mean, the Conservative Party would be running away with it right now if the Conservative Party wasn't interested in losing the election. Now, I don't think they're willfully trying to lose the election. They're just idiots. And Aaron O'Toole can't do this. And we've talked about the problem with polling data, and here's the same thing. Right? So to stick on Trudeau, the biggest idiot in our country, Justin Trudeau, I think, actually believes that everyone is so afraid of COVID that he can run his campaign on being an authoritarian, because every time he gets up there, and listen, I watch the CBC almost every day, so you don't have to. Every time he gets up there and says, know what Canada needs? Less rights. Canada has too many rights. And the CBC is like, that's right. Free speech is horrible. It's terrifying. Journalists should be imprisoned if we don't like them. The Taliban has great ideas about, beheading this opposition. Like, the media is out there like fear-mongering. Like, anyone who talks about civil liberties, they are a white supremacist. Let's just bring up everyone here in the chat. Chris Payne and Kim Ward, I just saw you last two. White supremacists, not reading this. Now, Cobourg, my hometown, to be proud. Way to go. Jody was able. Showed us 6 minutes and out. Yep, that's a white supremacist statement because Coburg is a place that has a white person in it. So C, she said pride about white people, white supremacist. Chris Payne, do you think Joe Biden will be impeached the way he had in Afghanistan? It was a complete disaster there. Maybe there's more text. But anyway, this guy's clearly a white supremacist because he mentioned Joe Biden, who's a white person. Yeah. Shane Woosley, another white supremacist. No one in the West is voting for the tool. Again, tools are used to build homes. Homes house white people, white supremacists. CBC needs to be defunded. The CBC promotes diversity, so that makes you a white supremacist. If he called his party, his party authoritarian. He did. Pointing out what Justin Trudeau says is, of course, white supremacy because it undermines the dear leader. Right, we have another white supremacist. I saw a liberal advertisement that showed the Conservative Party as crappy old truck ads for the famous truck ad. This is a person who watches commercials where there are trucks. Which means he watches sports played by white people, which means you are a white supremacist. All right, another white supremacist up here. Downhomers screwed us last time. They all voted liberal. I don't know what downhomers are, but I'm just assuming you mean black people. That makes you a white supremacist. You also saw the same ad, white supremacist. I love all the people, just not Trudeau. Again, this is someone saying, I love all the white people. Clearly a white supremacist. Oh, my audience just filled. They better capitalize. Capitalize his words. White people. September, the whitest month. I'm not even reading that whole thing. Oh, white supremacist jargon. I mean, you guys are, you're all getting deported. You're all getting deported to Afghanistan right now. I like every race equally. Okay, this is clearly white supremacy because you are saying that you like white races and you don't think that white people are evil. So yeah, white supremacists. Okay, this was another one. What do I think about the Trudeau turn the PPC? Yeah, this was a stupid ad. The Conservatives were helped that Twitter took it down, for copyright infringement, but it was a stupid ad. He's killing me. Yes, by being killed, that's a white supremacist tactic because every Ku Klux Klan member has died at some point. So yeah, I mean, come on. This is a nuanced take, which is a form of white supremacy. God, people, come on. Okay, back to more serious matters. Instead of me just reading all the comments and then accusing them of being white supremacy. Okay. Anyways, after that last 10 minutes, I'm now qualified to run the Liberal Party, which makes me a white supremacist. All right. I like this one. Mr. Boardman made a great lecture on CRT. Basically, I just gave you guys all a lecture on critical race theory, which makes you a white supremacist. Okay. Trudeau's blackface, no, that's not white supremacy. That is cultural appreciation, okay? But pointing it out as a bad thing, that's white supremacy. All right. Okay. I'm not even going to bring this up. Mike Baker, F the Packers? No. Okay, you're getting deported. That makes you a black supremacist and a white supremacist. You're part of the Taliban now. Okay. Where were we? All right, so we have Justin Trudeau, who actually is running his campaign based off of what he pays the media to say and not off human beings. So we have Justin Trudeau basically saying, if you vote for the Conservative Party, you will have freedom. There will be freedom and it will be terrifying. You will be allowed to go into stores and other people will be allowed to go there too. And everyone's like, oh, that's pretty dope. That's pretty based. Is Aaron O'Toole pretty based? And Aaron O'Toole's like, no, please, no freedom, please, look at our vaccine mandate thing. Look, it's not actually freedom. No, look, no, it's lies. And they're like, oh, you idiots, just stand on a friggin' hill, you dum-dums. Well, I'm actually happy they're stupid because they're suing me, and I think they're going to destroy the country. But this is the stupidity. Is Justin Trudeau's like, listen, we've got this Aaron O'Toole guy, and he's pretty based. He's going to give you these freedoms, and he doesn't want to force he doesn't think that mandatory vaccinations for fetuses is needed, and he doesn't want to kill you. He doesn't want to institute the death penalty for being unvaccinated. And then everyone's like, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Let me look up this O'Toole guy. What's he saying? He's like, no. We actually want this and rapid testing and whatever. We're going to be very safe, and we'll have some lockdowns maybe, but we just don't want like super lockdowns. So like we're 99% of where the Liberals are. And you see this with their messaging too, with like Justin Trudeau says that we're unsafe, but we look at their plan and our plan. They're actually using our plan. They copied us. And you're like, oh, you effing idiots. Stop it. Stop saying that, no, we're the same as the Liberals. Don't worry, everyone. We're not going to give you freedom. No freedom here. No freedom here at the CPC. Look, we kicked this guy out of the Yukon thing, and look, we kicked out Yurdega out of whatever, and look how many people we're canceling. Listen, we're gonna cancel Jim Collarhouse again. We're bringing Jim Collarhouse back so he can say something reasonable, so we can kick him out all over again. Don't worry, no freedom here in the city. And you're like, oh, you friggin' idiots. Then the NDP's just like, you know what? This isn't going far enough. We want mandatory everything, and we want it yesterday. Also, the rich need to pay $1 billion in taxes, except me, Jagmeet Singh, in my fancy suits. I love Jagmeet Singh, by the way. I love him. I think everyone knows how much I love Khalistani Trudeau, because he's just destroying the integrity of the NDP going forward. He'll be like, he wears Rolex. He's like multiple Rolex watches. Wears like double-breasted, like $1,000 Italian suits, friggin' Rolex, and he'll be there like, the rich are ruining the country. We must eat the rich. Also, how much does my outfit cost? $50,000, $15,000, $10,000. All in all, I'm wearing 6 figures on my body right now. He's basically the political version of a rapper. he's doing the whole eat the rich don't pay their fair share. I love him. I love Jagmeet Singh. Please clip that out and just use it against me anytime, anytime we can. Look at New Zealand. They love making reference to New Zealand and the Nordic countries as idealistic models. This is a great point, Wes, on the New Zealand thing. New Zealand's the new Sweden. You guys notice how the thing to the left used to be say, oh, it's just like Sweden doesn't, and that's a way to cajole the Canadian left into doing something. Well, they do it in Sweden. Well, in Sweden, they eat babies, so why can't we here, right? The new thing is because Sweden didn't do lockdowns and Sweden was a little too based, New Zealand is a new thing. So look into New Zealand. Oh, these Kiwis here. It's a bit of a cronky Australian accent right there, but New Zealand. I was in New Zealand. I could do the New Zealand accent before. It's in the A's. I need to be around. I need to be around Australians and New Zealanders to do the accent. So right now we're just gonna. Okay, there's the New Zealand accent. There you go, the New Zealand accent right there. You just gotta all stay inside. All right. You just can't go out. There's one person with a COVID case, so just lock down the whole thing there. And you can't have any of the freedoms there. All right, because in New Zealand we're just gonna panic. All right. So yeah, I'm impressed I actually got back to the Kiwi accent. Just took me a bit of rambling, but I got there. See how it's different? The Australian accent is a bit different, right? You do the cronky, right? Whereas the New Zealand one is a bit more chipper. Okay, anyways. But yeah, New Zealand, one case, and they shut it all down, which is why New Zealand's being used as the new look to New Zealand. So it's the media's new darling of like New Zealand, the progressive paradise, that lockdown after one case, literally one case. So New Zealand will be the new Sweden because Sweden was a little too based. And there we go. Okay. Thank you. I'm working on this. Someone is dying. I'm glad we're having fun tonight. We need a Canadian leader with balls. Yes, we do. All right. Okay, here's a great question. This didn't get addressed last night, and we have to now. I might have said my theory on this a bit. Do you think people are going to do the mail-in voting? Is anyone else mildly concerned about this? I am concerned about this. And maybe not so much in they're going to steal the election way, but here's my prediction, because I'm a eternal pessimist when it comes to Canadian politics, especially in this time. Here is my thoughts on the mail-in voting. Will they use mail-in voting to steal the election? I don't think so. Okay. Will mail-in voting be used in the most transparent and ethical way? Absolutely not. So I actually see something I see something more devious, and maybe like also I think I could be wrong because my idea is smart, and the people who run this country are idiots. So keep that in mind. My thought is what they'll do with mail-in voting is do just a little bit of shenanigans, not major shenanigans, but just a little bit of shenanigans. So there's something there, a little nugget for make people to go, huh, what about this? Right. And then because there's going to be a little nugget and there's the Trump stuff and there's a history of this type of stuff, I think they want to just put a little bit in there so people see it, complain about it, but then take that little nugget and make it something bigger. Right. So then when you take the small thing and make bigger claims like the election was stolen because of mail-in voting, right? So they'll do a little bit of shenanigans. People will notice it and have legitimate concerns. Then when they extrapolate their concerns about mail-in voting to, hey, mail-in voting compromise the election integrity, they can then use that, the fear of January 8th, the Trump panic, and the fact that this is Canada and their heavy-handed use of censorship and tech media, use that to start mass calling people off social media, of course, and Twitter, but also use that as an excuse to push some draconian free speech laws and some censorship. So do I think mail-in voting will be used to fix the election? No, I think it's going to be used to destroy our right to free speech long term. I actually think there's a much smarter game with mail-in voting and the current climate around it than fixing the election. I think they can destroy Canadian civil liberties a lot better. That's my personal conspiracy theory about mail-in voting. Again, I have no data to back this up. This is just a feeling. This is just, if I was like, George Soros Canada, this is what I would do. But again, I know these people. I've met them. No one inside the Liberal Party or the Conservative Party is smart enough to pull this off. And if they are smart enough to pull it off, once you get them in a group, it will bring them all down. So they're all dumb. Okay. Okay. Well, I lost track of the chat for a while, so thank you, everyone. There, interesting tech. Thank you. Yeah, get out there and vote. Do that. Can we talk about Maxime Bernier? Yeah, we can talk about Maxime Bernier. Let's get to Maxime Bernier. Put specific things about Maxime Bernier now. And here's my thing on Maxime Bernier. I supported Maxime Bernier before it was cool, okay? Back when I was doing civil space with Sia, we made a video back in the day supporting Maxime Bernier during his leadership race. Sia made it about him fleeing Iran and why he chose to come to Canada because of Stephen Harper and his stance for human rights. And then I ranted about interprovincial free trade and the milk mafia and supply side management. I did a little aside in that, and then Sia took it home. So I've always been a fan of Maxime Bernier's stance on free trade within Canada. Now, I'm a free trade guy globally for the most part. Like, I don't believe in free trade with China, but like Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Israel, America, Europe. I believe in free trade with all of these first world allies. Now, what I don't think we can disagree, even if you're against like the TPP and the trade deals and NAFTA, even if and I'm not going to say there's no legitimate concerns. You can have some very legitimate concerns about NAFTA. Let's put that aside. But I like to engage you as someone who doesn't like the NAFTA agreement. You at least should agree that Canada should have a free trade agreement between the Canadian provinces. Like, it's so messed. What drives me crazy, and this drives Maxime Bernier crazy too, is there's no free trade within inter-province in Canada, and this needs to be fixed. This needs to be absolutely fixed. We need free trade. We need a free trade agreement between Alberta and Saskatchewan and Ontario and Manitoba and all that. Like, we need Canadian businesses and companies to have free trade. And Maxime Bernier was right on this economic issue. He's also right about supply side management, the milk mafia. This is probably what did him in, as the votes around the last leadership thing in the Andrew Scheer might have been pushed by the milk cartels. So on terms of like hard policy, I've always been a fan of Maxime Bernier. In terms of like the libertarian stances, a lot of things. Now, I'm not libertarian in foreign policy. I'm very libertarian domestically. I'm not a libertarian in foreign policy for the most part. But this is sort of so that's where I was in Max before I got kicked out. Then, Max kind of got into like spurn lover mode and then just got really based. And he was like the only one saying like, okay, screw it, if I'm not the leader, like now we're going to criticize these diversity initiatives and all this far left mumbo jumbo. And then he got kicked out, started his own party. So there's the Maxime Bernier story. So do I like the policy that Maxime Bernier puts forward? Yeah, I mean, Salim Mansour wrote his Middle East policy. It's great. I like his domestic policy. Great. He's the only one talking about reduced immigration. Great. Now, Maxime Bernier's problems are, let's be honest, okay? He's French, which means his English communication skills are subpar. Right? I have a bit of a lispy voice. It would prevent me from being prime minister. It's just the reality. I'm also 5'8". I'm not, I'm of a height that would hurt me in a federal, like these are just truths, right? Peter MacKay being taller will help him get more votes. Me being smaller will not. These are just common things. O'Toole being bald will hurt him. Being fat and bald will hurt him more. Good on Aaron O'Toole. He got in shape. So Maxime Bernier is tall. He's handsome. That's good. His key flaw is he has a French accent, which hurts people. And listen, if you're a Canadian political junkie, you can look past it and you can look at policy. But you have to understand that not everyone is like you. Some people vote with their gut, and you're also dealing with people who just get snippets here and there and like, ooh, I like that guy. I don't like that guy. There's a lot of people who hear a guy a few times and decide if they like him. And for Maxime Bernier to carry a movement, I do believe he needs to be the PPC needs a dynamic English speaker, and maybe Veva Fry is that, and maybe he's the one who to eventually take over the party. That's where he is. So we have people saying, okay, some people don't like him, don't trust Maxime Bernier. Listen, I don't trust any of them. But in terms of policies putting out, he's bad. Okay. I think the chat is going off tonight. Great. Pro Salim. All right. People saying, yeah, his act. Oh, sorry. See, and this guy likes it. Okay. Pierre would be my choice. Well, too bad. Aaron O'Toole took that choice away from you. What if Trudeau makes mandatory vaccines, federal voting, frees some conservatives from showing up? I think that would be smart. Like, I would disagree. Well, I mean, yeah, I think he got you there, because then you could just say you could do the mail-in voting. If you don't want to wear a mask, like, my thing is, if they mandate the mask thing, like, guys, just, you don't have to believe in the mask. It's not going to kill you, right? Just throw it on, vote against him, take it off. Like, then once you cast the vote, then take it off in there and make a point, right? Get in, throw it in the box, then make a point after. Like, yeah, I'm against the mask mandates and all that, but like, one of my frustrations with the anti-mask crowd is the sort of like, the mask is dangerous. No, the mask is stupid. Okay, it's like, the mask is not going to save you. The mask does nothing. We all know the mask does nothing, right? But it does nothing, right? It's not going to save us. Right? It's not the greatest thing that ever happened, but it's also not the apocalypse. Like, it's literally nothing. It's not here. It's not there. It's literally nothing. That's my thing on the mask. So if they're forced you to wear a mask, there's a lot of places you can go to spite, but here, the way you spite them best is wear it, cast the vote, then take it off, walk out, and go there. Yeah, the mask is a symbol of blight. So that's why I'm like, if you want to do it another day, like, I get it. The thing is, like, who's wearing the mask outside? I mean, the people in Toronto. I hear Alberta's pretty based and no one's doing it in Alberta, but like, everyone who's wearing a mask outside, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're just like you're just a billboard for the NDP. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, Kelly agrees with me. Based. Okay. Okay, fair enough. If you have to wear it 40 hours at work, okay, yeah, I have the luxury of just, I only have to wear it for at most half an hour at a time when I go shopping. So, there are points there. But, for the voting, I'd say you want to fight against simple compliance, do it, take it off while you're still in there after you cast your vote. Say it's been cast. Boom. That way you get around the sort of the moral conundrum of you don't want to be a symbol of compliance, right? So you do it, and then as long as you cast the vote, so once they can't stop you, then you take it out and you walk away, and then you sort of made a point, and everyone goes, oh my God, you're someone without a mask, And then if people are like, I'm unsafe, I can't vote here now, well, then great. You've just stalled a bunch of commies from voting. Okay. So I think we've gone off. The liberal strategy seems to be, we hate freedom. Look at this conservatives. They love freedom. Ooh, gross. And the conservative platform is, no. We aren't pro-freedom. This is all propaganda. Look, we have the exact same policies as the liberal. In fact, they're copying our policies. And then you have the Daniel thing, which is whack face with head. Then you have the PPC go around saying, no, we actually are pro-freedom. Then you have the Green Party saying, ugh, Jews, ew, we hate Jews. And Amy Paul being like, trees. And then the party being like, no, go away, Jew. We don't like Jews. And everyone's like, what the hell's going on with this? I don't understand. And quite frankly. And then Jagmeet Singh's walking around in like a tuxedo and a top hat being like, hello, peasants. Aren't the rich the worst? Get out of my way. Now get me an ice frappa mocha loca choca bloca thing from Starbucks, all right? I want a Starbucks, just whacking everyone with a diamond-encrusted cane. The rich are the problem. Oh, no. Oh, what time is it on my golden... I can't tell the time because there's so many diamonds in my watch. It's shining into my eyes. Let me shield it. Oh, poor people are disgusting the clock. Gross. Also, the rich are the worst. Okay, so that's the NDP, right? Just being like straight up commies who despise freedom. Which is like, it's such an easy path to victory for the Conservative Party if they weren't run by a bunch of idiots, but they're run by a bunch of idiots. So there we are. Yeah, the Greens don't even have the money for the campaign manager. They know their outcome. And they're using whatever money they have to sue their leader. So instead of running for an election, they're just suing themselves because their leader's a Jew. And they're just like, just idiots. I love it. They're just so stupid. Gold-plated cane. Get out of my way, pause. Everyone get out of my way. The poor people, vote for me and I will give your money to Pakistan so we can blow up India. Huzzah! Because that's what the poors need. The poors need a Khalistan. Don't worry, everyone. I will give your money to Pakistan, and they will establish an independent Sikh state in India. And then Pakistan will totally support the rights of Sikh people, unlike in Pakistan, where they murder Sikh people. I'm Jagmeet Singh, and I am an idiot. Okay. Maybe you don't have to listen to the Green Party in debates yet. Yeah. I think you will. The media loves the Green Party. They might keep her out this time because we'll be like, ugh, Jews, and the media isn't also a big fan of Jews. By the way, Jews. I mean, how do we let the Jews control the media narrative get out of hand? Because, like, come on, we suck. We absolutely suck at messaging on all this. Okay. So that's right. And the interesting thing is, you still have the Bloc Québécois out there, who the Bloc can play an interesting role in preventing a liberal majority, a liberal minority. How the Bloc does will actually affect a lot of this. And I want to introduce you guys. Some of you might have heard this before, but this is my hypothetical. If I was running the Conservative Party and it was normal times, my strategy with Quebec. Conservatives never do well in Quebec. Like the most seats they've got in Quebec is like 8 or something. There are tons of seats in Quebec. I was having this conversation, and I was talking, and my family was saying like they were doing like their the Andrew Coynes and the Evan Sullivans type analysis, where it's like, well, it still makes sense. You got to run in Quebec because you want to draw some votes away from the Liberals, from the federal party, to prevent the Liberals from getting seats by increasing other ways. So it is a good strategy because you do draw votes away from the Liberals by being conservative, by some in Quebec, and it does help you out. Blah, blah, blah. And that's true. That's true. But the reason why you're here is because I get better political analysis than the CBC, and I'm introducing you to what should be the Quebec strategy for the Conservative Party, which I deem mock the bloc. All right, Operation Mock the Bloc. We capitalize on the fact that French and Quebecers are very, very spiteful. All right, they love to preserve their culture, which is good. Like, we need one province trying to preserve its culture. So I don't hate Quebec. Quebec hates me, but I like Quebec. All right, so this is all with love, Quebec. But Quebec can be a little ridiculous and a little stubborn, right? My plan would be, we have people in Canada, especially people in Alberta, people in Saskatchewan, people in Manitoba, who don't like the fact that Quebec gets special treatment. Raise your hand if you think it's ridiculous that Quebec gets special treatment and in equalization and everything else. Everyone. Okay. So what you do is you mock the Bloc. You don't pander to Quebec. This way, in the 9 other provinces and 3 territories, you are the only party that is not falling over itself to utterly pander to Quebec. So will you lose the 4 seats in Quebec you might get? Maybe. But I think you more than make up for that in other parts of the country where people will be like, that was pretty based. I like the fact that he's not, giving it to Quebec. But then, because you mock the Bloc, specifically making fun of the Bloc Québécois, call them not a real party, don't even say the leader's name, just call them French, even French face, right? Then you'll get everyone in Quebec wanting to spite you and vote for the Bloc. Well, that's how you bogart the Liberals in Quebec. You mock the Bloc, right? And will you get some votes in Quebec still because Quebecers are, Canadian nationalists, not Quebec nationalists? Yeah, maybe you'll still get some conservative votes and maybe you'll still win a seat because not everyone in Quebec is a separatist. But by just ignoring Quebec separatism and making fun of it, you will drive Quebec into voting for the Bloc, right? And then if the Bloc gains a lot of power, well, that would bogart the Liberals and the NDP in Quebec. And let the Liberals and the NDP fawn over themselves to overly pander to Quebec to make up for how evil you are, right? You mock the Bloc, right? You mock anyone who votes for the Bloc. You get Quebecers then to vote for the Bloc. And you have everyone else in Canada be like, you know what? I like how this dude is not pandering to Quebec. I'll vote for him. So whatever you lose in Quebec, which is nothing because you don't have anything there to begin with, you'll likely make that up in the rest of Canada. And you do the job of bogarting the Liberals better. I think you get more people to not vote Liberal by forcing them into the Bloc's hands than you do by trying to win them over as conservatives by giving up on all your values and saying ridiculous things. All right. Ooh, a lot of raised hands, homies. Max get away with mock the Bloc. He could. Maybe the next time I talk to him, I'll propose my mock the Bloc idea. But this is more like you need the Conservative Party to do this. All that. Thank you, Alyssa. It's overnight. I appreciate that. And all right. See, I think everyone loves the Bloc idea. Again, remember to click all the buttons, like, share. You can subscribe to the Patreon and the PayPal. Remember to do that. And if you're Aaron O'Toole, please stop suing me. Remember, the key to a happy life is happy wife, happy life, stop suing Daniel's family. All right. I think Confucius said that. Okay. Okay, why vote for any of these creeps? Boycott the federal election. This is a good point. And I'll just Donna Lynn Larson here. I'll leave this up. I'll just leave this one up. I totally understand someone who doesn't like Wexit or the PPC or the CPC or the LPC or whatever. The point of going to vote and not boycotting an election is there is power, right? When you go and vote, you set the precedent that, hey, I'm willing to take 20 minutes out of my day to vote for do something I believe in, right? So you distance yourself from someone who would be too lazy. Now, don't vote for any of these idiots. Go there, write yourself in, write my name in. Sure, vote for me. Who cares? Write my name in. But the point is to show that, listen, I would be willing to take half an hour out of my day to cast a vote for someone. So that way, when you are sort of counting the things and whatever demographic, ideological group you fall into, it's then the politicians know and the machine knows, okay, these people are more likely to vote, and it gives whatever demographic and your political ideology, it gives you more power in socioculturally and politically. So it's not so much who you vote for, but just showing that you're willing to take half an hour out of your day, I think is an important step. And you don't have to vote for the PPC, but write in yourself, write in your dog, do something. But there. Where's Kevin O'Leary? He knows he has his numbers. Kevin O'Leary's wife got in that boating accident, so I don't think or potential boating homicide. I don't think we're going to see Kevin O'Leary running because I don't think he wants that story to come up anymore. If we all just dance a little more, there wouldn't be any more. Listen, okay, the biggest problem, let's get into the Taliban. All right. I blame celebrities. If they could just man up and sing John Lennon's Imagine in Taliban, whatever language the Taliban speak. I don't think it's Arabic because they're not Arab countries. Whatever language the Taliban speaks in Afghani, right? Whatever dialect. If they could just sing, if they just translate the song Imagine and celebrities sing it in black and white, then we would end all wars forever. So that's it. We can write anyone in. I believe you can. Like, to be like, Derek Sloan is registered as an independent in one specific riding, so Derek Sloan's name will be on the ballot in the riding he's going in. But I'm pretty sure you can write in a candidate. I think we have that option. Yeah, or just spoil your ballot or do something. You can leave it blank, but just have your name crossed off the register. The important thing is go there, get your name crossed off the registry that you went there, and you can just throw in an empty ballot if you want. The important thing is get your name so your name has more power, and your writing is seen as more politically engaged. It does help long term. It's a small thing. It's very small, but if everyone went, and I don't believe in mandatory voting, but if everyone went and voted, it would be better. I believe in, listen, I dedicated my life to making people more politically aware. So yes, I'm in favor of making a more politically literate society. But I don't like those commercials like get out and vote and just do it, vote. Like, if you need to be told by a celebrity to vote, don't vote. Like, if you don't know anything about politics, don't vote. But the reason why I tell everyone here to go out and make sure they vote is because if you're watching this, then you're consuming like an hour, at least a week, or like right now, you're consuming some political information. Like, I'm assuming everyone here is not politically illiterate. And if you're not politically illiterate, then I do think you should go out and cast a vote. There are a lot of people who just don't care about politics, and God bless them. Like, you don't have to care about politics. Like, I care about politics, but like, there's a lot of things I don't care about. Like, I don't care about the symphony. I don't care about musical theater. Right. So I'm not going to vote on, America's Next Top Idol or whatever. Right. There's things I don't care about and I don't need to get involved in. Some of you might like sports and, you're invited to my place on Sunday to watch football. Some of you don't like sports. You don't need to come over. We don't need to watch football together. Right. This is how I feel about people who don't understand politics. If people don't understand politics, well, don't vote. Like, don't feel bad about it. Right. But if you are politically literate, if you're here and you have actual opinions and you've consumed political knowledge, then go out there and use that power and just show that, hey, politically people in this country are willing to vote. Spoil your ballot, send it in blank. But, I think if you have political knowledge, you should vote. How about voting on our cell phones? No, I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah. If there are no voters, Dominion can't win. But yeah, so we're not going to get no voters, though. Yeah. Listen, and I'm with you guys. Like, I think we're all on the same page. Like, I would rather, like, listen, again, I dedicate my life to making Canadians more politically aware by getting people more involved in the political system, and I do believe in increasing political literacy, and I would encourage anyone to make themselves more politically literate. But if it's just not your thing and you're not politically literate, well, then you don't need to vote. Like, if you don't know the difference between what Jagmeet Singh believes and what like Maxime Bernier believes, if you can't look at the two of them and really understand what's going on, well, then don't feel like you need to cast your vote. Like, and that's okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. It's been hard to keep with the chat today. I mean, the chat's flown by. So, that's, I'm very happy. Yeah, I think I like this. If Trudeau's going somewhere, yeah, go to boo Trudeau. I mean, it really hurts him. Like, you can see, like, Justin Trudeau does not like being booed. Like, he needs to be loved. And there's a certain amount of emotional insecurity and instability I saw in him. Looks like we're not going to get to Afghanistan today, but that's okay. I put out a video on Afghanistan yesterday. So if you want to see videos on Afghanistan, it's on my Facebook page and the YouTube page. So you can get my opinions on Afghanistan there. I also wrote an article today in the National Telegraph. I'll I'll copy the link in here. So if you came here for I'm just putting it here because we're in the last 5 minutes. If you came for Afghanistan, okay, there you go. We can we'll have you there. Okay. Yeah, the interesting thing with Justin Trudeau and getting booed and being so emotionally fragile, it's really helped me build a profile of just how dangerous this man is. And I'm going to give you another sort of theory. This one's less ridiculous than the mock the block one, but I do believe in this. Justin Trudeau isn't a dumb man by humanity standards. He is a dumb man by political standards, and for the thing is, but let's use IQ, okay? And because IQ is just a basic intelligence test. What IQ is, it's just a random set of questions and you put on a scale, okay? So I say Justin Trudeau is actually in the danger center of intelligence. And the danger center of intelligence, the most dangerous intelligence quotient, I think, is just above average, okay? So one standard deviation above the mean. So one standard deviation is 15 points. So 100 is average in IQ. 115 is one standard deviation above the mean. 185 is one standard deviation below the mean. So like that's where you get above 115 is very smart people, or pretty smart, whatever you want to call it. Like if above 115 is pretty smart, then two standard deviations, 130, very smart. And it's a standard bell curve, okay? This is where it is. The most dangerous intelligence quotient is actually between 100 and 115. I think that's where Justin Trudeau is. So is he smarter than the average bear? Yes. But the problem with people like this is, one, the literature is absolutely clear on this. Smart people are more gullible than stupid people, especially people who are just above average intelligence. Like the more educated you get, like university students are more gullible than people who just got their GED or high school degree. And the answer to this one is people who say, oh, I got into university. Oh, I'm smart. I know I'm smart. People who have this awareness of their own intelligence, one, believe it because they're not wrong. If your IQ is 110, you are correct in the assumption that you are above average in intelligence. But when people think, oh, I am smart, you then think, oh, I'm so smart. There's the too much, I know too much to learn thing. But also, I'm so clever, I can't be tricked. So you trust your own assessment more, right? And you don't edit yourself as much as someone who would be of like average or below average intelligence. That's the problem with the just above average, right? When you get into like two standard deviations above the mean, like the really smart people, well, then they're less likely to be fooled because they're, then it's okay. They're more intelligent because they're more creative in the way they think about it, and their initial thought process is better than people below that. But you have Justin Trudeau, who is clearly in the dangerous level of intelligence, which is just above average. And then you also have this narcissism, right? And I mean, let's call it white privilege because his daddy was prime minister. His grandfather was a multimillionaire. This is a man who grew up in a bubble, right? This is a man who clearly loves himself, clearly thinks very highly of himself. I think a lot of you have seen that clip where it's like, he's like, I'm born to do this. Like, this is me. I'm born to be the leader. I'm the best guy, whatever, right? Like this, like, he is a bad actor. Like, again, this was a drama teacher. This is an actor, right? I know of people in the arts industry. They're all, everyone in the arts industry pretty self-obsessed. So you have someone who is self-obsessed, grew up in a bubble, that daddy was prime minister, no one ever say no, like total trust fund baby, didn't grow up in the same world as the rest of us. Okay, none of you grew up in the Trudeau world, so he has this perception of himself, and he has this sort of above average intelligence mindset where, the Justin Trudeau, if you like, when people say, oh, Trudeau is the dumbest guy he's ever met, he's mentally deficient, blah blah, and I've called him stupid before because he does do dumb things. But he has this thing where he can ignore that as like, these people are wrong because I've gone through life as someone of intelligence, above average, and Trudeau's intelligence would never blow anyone away. Like, he's not winning any awards in high school, but he's got grades good enough to get into university, and he got to university, and he got to be a teacher. So he has that mentality of himself. So he has this sort of, I'm intelligent, therefore I know, right? He has this sort of bubble created where everyone said yes, yes, yes to him. So he's had this in his entire life, and then he's governed in a way that has kept the bubble he's in, has sort of expanded, right? So he had a bunch of yes men, and because he's a liberal, the media is in generally yes men, and then he paid them even more to be even more of a yes man. So now he's seen this sort of bubble expand across, and his international reputation among the international left is good because he just spouts not diversity nonsense and plays himself as like the anti-Trump. So every time he goes to these things, he gets his, he's always in places where it's filled with people who are predisposed to agree with him anyway. So he's never broken out of this bubble. So you have this man who has an incredibly high self-perception, has been detached from reality, and is just a bit above average in intelligence. That is the danger zone for a politician, because this is a man who thinks he can do no wrong, right? Has the ability to concoct ideas that are mildly intelligent and instructive, but then doesn't have the capacity or the humility to self-edit. Like, this is Justin Trudeau, if in a nutshell, right? This is why he can propose all these wacky draconian stuff and never really think twice about it, because he's a smart guy. He's definitely right. And then he's been in this bubble where everything he says, people keep saying, oh, yes, 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 brilliant, right? And this is why he lashes out at his critics. And then he even has his friends say, oh, you're criticizing Justin Trudeau? That's because you're a racist, right? So he's sort of kept this bubble. And it's not till now that you actually seen that it's not that he's trying to silence his critics to like gain power. He doesn't want to even acknowledge them to maintain not power, but self-perception. That's the dangerous thing. So yes, he's lusting after power, but there's also a part of him that must maintain his self-perception at all costs. And that is, that's the danger. All right. So I think that's a whole hour. Becky was saying, who I'm talking about. That was a Justin Trudeau rant. In other words, psychopath, sociopath. That's where he's at. All right. Again, that was a fun hour. I had fun. I think we all had fun. I think we all had a good time. I managed to get my New Zealand accent back again. Yeah, that's this week. Next week, we will be doing the exact same thing. It will be the exact same show. I'll say the exact same words, the exact same accents. It will be no different, but you're all morally required to be here next week. So yes, next week, 8 p.m. Please remember to click all the buttons. It really helps me out. Share, like, subscribe. If you're on the YouTube or the Facebook, go to YouTube. I'm on InstaFace, all the stuff, all the faces. Thank you so much. I will be back next week, Wednesday, and of course, making a video tomorrow on all the things. Good night, everyone.